Welcome everyone to another episode of Satisfactory Update 5, and on this episode we're going to be working towards getting all of the manufacturing happening to get our space elevator unlocked so we can get access to Tier 5 and Tier 6. Sit back, relax, and let's jump into it. Alright guys, so in this episode we need to dive into more assembly in our steel work so that we can get the space elevator phase completed. It'll be phase 2 of the space elevator done so that we can unlock, if we go over to our hub here, we can unlock tiers 5 and tiers 6. But to do that, we've got to get the space elevator completed, and to do that we need to get a few more things, not constructed, but assembled. So let's just quickly slap down an assembler here. Let's find some open area that we can work at here. As you can see, the base is massively increased in size now. We got that all taken care of in the last episode, getting everything upgraded that needed to be upgraded. And we are leaping through here. And up above here is where our steel assembly is happening. So we just got to run down these little ramps here. And up here for assembly right now, we do have the one industrial, encased industrial beams are getting assembled up here. But we've got lots of room to be able to get the other two items up here. And we're just going to, I'm just going to quickly slap one down right now, just so that we can have a look and make sure that we've got everything that we need. So we're going to put it down. So the first thing we got to look at is the versatile framework. Versatile framework requires modular frames and steel beams, of which both of those we are manufacturing right now down below, and we'll be able to bring feeds up for that. That's not going to be an issue. It's 2.5 modular frames and 30 steel beams per minute to be able to manufacture 5 of these versatile frames. Then the other thing that we've got to work at getting assembled is automated wiring. So the automated wiring, that requires stators and cables. Wait, stators? We're not manufacturing stators. So that means we got to start manufacturing these as well. And stators come from steel pipe and wire. So there's 3 more different assemblies that we have to get geared up here, and we're going to dive into that right now. So the first one I'm going to work on is for the versatile frames. We're going to get that set up right here. Then the next one we'll get set up is for the stators, and the final one we will do is going to be for that, what was that last piece? What was the last piece? I can't remember. Automated wiring. So that's what we are ultimately working towards, so that we can get stacks of 500 of those. We've already got the smart plating. Smart plating's done. That can be fed up there, not a worry. But then it's the rest. It's the versatile framework and the smart wire. We've got to get that done. So now it's time to get some more assemblers built. Alrighty, time to explain what all we have done here, and really the only way to do this is if I get up on one of these storage tanks we've done. So our assemblies are in place now, and I think I'm actually going to start over on this far side, if I can climb up on here. Okay, one of these I'll be able to climb up on. There we go. Okay, so we already had this assembly unit up here. So this one here is making our encased industrial beam, I think is what it's called. That's what's getting stored in here, which is getting a feed of steel ingots and concrete to be able to combine and make those. Then the next production line that's coming in here, and we're going to do a quick little leap over this, so I overshot it. We'll leap over to this one here. This one is making our stators, is what's getting made in this assembly. So we're getting a feed of steel pipe that's coming down in here, and we're just avoiding clipping right here. and into this machine. I'm trying to do the best I can to try to keep the corners at like 90 degrees and stuff. So I've got like these little weird little loops to try to get everything all running through here. But it seems to be working so far, so I guess I can't complain too much. But so right now we are getting steel pipes fed into here. And then there's also a copper wire feed that is coming all the way over from our copper storage, is coming all the way in here and feeding into this. Then the stators are actually getting split out. Half of them are going back into production down the road here, and half of them are getting stored in here. And we've already got 48 of them stored since we've started doing this little construction. This little bit of construction really didn't take me that long to do. So then the stators are feeding into this side. And what are we making on here? We're making automated wiring over here. So we get 2.5 stators per minute, which is exactly what is coming off of that machine over there. We're actually getting 5, I think, off of this machine. Yeah, we're getting 5, and we're splitting it. So 2.5 go into storage, 2.5 are coming over to this machine. And then we got copper cabling that's coming in here. We only need 20 copper cabling, so like we're never going to run out of, 50 per minute, and we've got a 60 line coming in here. So this will pause every once in a while, but it's not too big of a deal. And we're not going to run out anyway because we have plenty of copper cabling coming through. So that is making our stators. And then, of course, the stators are all getting stored in this storage container here. Then next is our versatile framework is what's getting built in this one. So from that original steel beam line that's coming over here, I did put a splitter on this. And of course, it's feeding. I didn't have a splitter here before, but I've added one in here now. So it's coming down in here, splitting, feeding into our encased industrial beam, and then it's shooting back up again, climbing up over top of all of this other stuff, and then shoots back down into here. And then I am pulling a modular frame feed all the way from, let's try to get to a spot where I'm not going to fall over. All the way from that storage over there, we've got a conveyor system that comes in here, an elevator that comes up, and then it wraps around and feeds in to this assembler. And then this assembler is storing our versatile steel frames. That is where we are at, or versatile frames. So we have got all of our stuff now assembling to unlock the elevator. Now it's just a matter of waiting for these to get their production up and make enough of these items so that we can unlock this device. So while waiting for our materials to build to be able to finish off our space elevator, which is way over in the distance there, I'm too close to that cloud, I ended up, because we were really low on power, like our potential of our base was like really right at the top of the line for how much power we were generating. So I went on a walkabout and found there was a normal coal node over here that I grabbed. And then, believe it or not, I was actually able to extract the water out of this river that's here. It's not pretty, I will give you that much. But we have 6 water generators here. We're pumping the water all the way along. We had to add a bunch of like lift pumps in here because I kept getting water starved towards the end down here. But we now have all 10 of these generators running. And what is that giving us? That's giving us a max output now of 2,100 megawatts or 2.1 gigawatts. And our total max consumption right now is at 1481. And we're averaging between the 600 and 700 mark is where we're kind of bouncing around. Oh, it looks like we hit 740 there for a bit. So we got plenty of room now to play with power. So now I gotta drag myself back to our base, and hopefully the materials will be ready to update the elevator. All right, now that we've let everything have a opportunity to run here for a bit, we've increased our power usage a little bit, or generation, and everything had a chance to stockpile. Now it's time to do the upgrade to our space elevator. I have all the materials we need to be able to do it, so I'm just running over to the space elevator. And we are going to load these in. So it's 500 of the smart plating that we need to add into this, as well as 500 of the versatile framework. Get those all added in. And then it's 100 of the smart wiring. I believe that's what it's called. Yes, automated wiring. So automated wiring, versatile framework, and smart plating. Let's seal that in. And send it off. Away it goes. I'm not entirely sure what that does for the upgrade process here. So let's just kind of see what happens to this. I don't know if anything physically changes with it, or if it just sends the items off and that's it. Ada's going to chime in here pretty quick and let us know, because this will now unlock tiers 5 and 6 for us. Well, it's been sent. Objective complete phase 3 is the next thing, which is 2,500 versatile frame, as well as there's 2 new items in there that we've got to do. What are the 2 new ones that are there? So the next one is a modular engine and adaptive control unit. Well, that doesn't sound like it's too ominous to build. I'm actually surprised that Ada didn't chime in and say, you've unlocked this stuff now. I kind of expected more of a fanfare over getting that upgraded phase 2 complete. But if we come over to the hub now and we click on this, we now have tier 5 and tier 6 available to us. So tier 5, what do we get? We get oil processing now. So this is going to be oil extractors. We get a refinery, some different valves. We'll be able to make plastic, rubber. We make fuel, petroleum coke, as well as circuit boards and scanner updates for crude oil. So we can start searching for crude oil once we get that done. And that requires, we need to be able to get motors, encased industrial beams. We need to get steel pipe and copper sheeting. Well, the only thing that we're not making is motors in this. So motors will be one of the things that we've got to start getting manufactured. And then under industrial manufacturing is an upgrade in tier 5. And what are we getting out of industrial? We get a manufacturer, we get larger trucks, we get computers we can start making. There's the modular engines we need for tier 3 and the adaptive, or it's not tier 3, but phase 3 of the space elevator. So modular engine and adaptive control unit. And of course, there's all the materials and stuff that we're going to be needing to be able to make those, which is the motors, plastics, rubber, and cabling. Alternative fluid transport. So now we're getting into the fluid end of things. So we get packagers, supply canisters, packaged water, packaged oil, packaged fuel. So we get different containers and stuff to be able to handle better, handle our fluids a little bit differently and cart them around a little differently. As well as it's looking like we're getting gas masks and gas filters. So we can get into those green cloud things a little bit better with having the gas masks, as well as we get an inventory slot out of this as well. So that's kind of interesting. Tier 6, expansion of power. We get fuel generators. This is where our Mark IV conveyors come in, as well as the Mark IV elevators. And then we can scan for Caterium ore as well. And we get jetpacks. Kind of looking forward to jetpacks and another inventory slot, which will be nice. Jetpacks will be able to fly around. It's going to make things a lot easier for doing building. And then we get monorail train technology. So we can start to build train stations throughout this area to be able to transport materials around. And then pipeline engineering Mark II, we get the Mark II pipelines out of this. So that's tier 5 and tier 6. So what are we going to get started on here first? I guess the first thing is we got to get motor manufacturing up and running. We don't have that built yet, so that's our first goal. So let's dive into that right away. And at the time that I'm actually recording this, there's a little bit more that we need to do with the old advent calendar. It's been a couple of days since I've been over here. I think the last one I opened was actually the 8th, and the time that I'm recording this is actually the 12th. So there's number 9. We're going to get that opened up, and we got a lump of coal. Wow, we got a lump of coal. That's how good we've been through all these episodes, is we get a lump of coal for Christmas. Isn't that fantastic? Next is number 10. And number 10 is located right over here on the belt. We'll open that up. Hey, we get one of the gold stars. That's really cool. Great. Perfect. We have a gold star. I think that's something that later we have to work on trying to actually manufacture those. So this is a special FICSMAS star, signifies the productivity of FICSIT all across the universe. It also signifies the fact that you have nearly completed the holiday event, so it's time to get back to work. Oh, great. So it's already telling us, get back to work. Okay, so to build our motor, what do we need? We need to get rotors and stators to be able to build these. And it's 10 rotors per minute and 10 stators per minute to be able to get 5 motors per minute. And we are... I've got the assembly set up here by basically our steel manufacturing area here. So I need to get a line coming over here that is going to fill this with stators and another one that's going to fill them with rotors so that we can get these assembled. So let's get some conveyors running over here. Okay, let's have a look at our manufacturing for our new motors that we've got here. So we have our assembly unit here that is getting a feed of rotors and stators. Well, where are we getting these from? So let's climb up onto the top of this bad boy here so that we can kind of have a look around. That was a really lousy jump there. Let's try that again. See if I can get up here a little bit easier so that we can have a look around. So, okay, so we're up on top of this. So over here is where my rotor manufacturing is. And I'm actually pulling a line off of our storage container that's over there. And you can see the stators are moving along here. Sorry, we're talking about stators. I got the stators coming from the storage container over there. They're moving along this conveyor, and then they're elevating up, coming into this, and then shooting on down here to an elevator and into our assembler here. And then the rotors are coming from way, like they're a ways away. Let's have a jump here and see kind of if we can see where those are coming in from. I just totally jumped off the side. That's a long ways down, and I don't have a lot of health on me right now to be doing that. Hey, let's do a little run slide underneath the conveyors there. So all the way from over here is where our rotors are getting loaded up here from, and they're shooting across. I built the flooring out here so it'd be easier to get the conveyor up there, and then they're running along. And of course now I got to get myself all the way back up to the top again, but in the magic of editing, poof, I'm back up top here, and we are at the assembler. So the rotors are coming up this way, and they're feeding in and coming into this unit. And then our finished product is rolling along here. Our little motors are rolling in through this and getting stored into this container. And we've made 26 motors so far. So yeah, I think that's the only thing we needed to manufacture to be able to get the next milestone on Tier 5 done. So let's run over and see what all we need to gather up for being able to get that milestone completed. All right, let's see what all we need to gather up for that first milestone. Okay, so it is 100 of the encased industrial steel beams. Well, we've already got those. 500 of the pipes. We need 500 copper sheeting and 50 motors. Okay, so the only thing left I need to get in my inventory is the copper sheeting. Not a problem. And then, of course, waiting for the motors to manufacture. By the time I get these copper sheeting in here and run down there, I think we'll be pretty close to how many we need. Alrighty, I've gathered up the materials, and it's time to get our first Tier 5 milestone completed, and that's oil processing. So let's select our milestone and start throwing stuff in. So we got the motors, we've got encased steel beams, we've got pipes happening, and more pipes, and then copper sheeting, and more copper sheeting. Launch away.
Milestone reached. Oil acquisition and refining unlocked. Oil-based products can now be made. The byproducts of oil refinement can be used after further processing, as seen in the refinery. Caution. This is a reminder to minimize the chance of expiration during out-of-base activities.
Okay, so that is off on its way. We have that first thing unlocked. Let's just look at what we gained out of there. We got a valve. Okay, great. What does it say? Used to limit pipeline flow rates, can be attached to a pipeline. Has an in and out direction. Okay, good to know. Good to know. What else do we have that was new in there? So that was under the logistics end of it. Power end, nothing new. Production end, we've got the refinery. Refines fluid and or solid parts into other parts. Head lift is 10 meters, allows fluids to be transported 10 meters upwards. Contains both a conveyor belt and a pipeline into it, and output to allow for the automation of various recipes. So it's got a couple of inputs, a couple of outputs. So nice. All right, we got that. And then the oil extractor. Normal extraction rate, 120 meters, cubic meters of oil per minute. Head lift is 10 meters. Allows fluids to be transported 10 meters upwards. Blah, blah, blah. So that's for fluid extraction or oil extraction. And then I think that might be, I don't think there's anything else under special. Operations, there's nothing new there. And transportation, we've got, we already talked about the hypertubes here before. I just hadn't actually moused over them before. So I think that's it for new that we got out of that. But getting to oil refinery is a pretty big step. So shout out to one of my viewers, Ron, who had mentioned that he didn't see me actually making a scanner, and I'm just going to have a look here and see where it is that object scanner. I haven't actually made one of these yet, because literally I thought that the scanner we were already carrying is the scanner that we would basically already be using, but I understand that this is supposed to be another scanner that we have. So what does it need? It needs beacons and screws and plate. Well, I've got the beacons actually in my hand right here, so I'm going to use the beacons. I just got to go and grab me some screws, and you know what? I think I actually still have screw storage up here anyway, right here, that I haven't actually filtered into the Awesome Sink yet. I think we can actually build this right now, and I don't know what the object scanner does. So let's craft that and see what we get out of it. Okay, so we've made the object scanner, and I believe that could be equipped just right here. Oh, so this is where we can actually scan for finding mushrooms, finding nuts, finding berries, and power slugs. Power slugs is actually pretty handy. So if we look at the tooltip on this, it says, scans the area for set items, beep at a rate proportional to proximity and direction. Equipped. It's made in the equipment workshop. Production rate is 1.5 per minute. And doesn't really say... Oh, you just have to walk around with it. And it beeps faster. And that's because there's a power slug right there. Okay, I see how this goes. Well, thank you. Shout out to Ron for letting me know about that. That's going to be very handy, because we'll be needing those power slugs later on for sure. Now, what's next? Is our next thing that we've got to break out here. Let's look at our milestones. Industrial manufacturing. Should we go industrial manufacturing? Should we go into alternate fluid transportation, gas masks? I think industrial manufacturing might be the better way to go right now. So it needs motors, plastic, rubber. Well, what do we need to actually be able to make plastic and rubber? Well, first off, why don't we start by having a look at these new things that we've got, these new refineries. So let's go to our production. Let's put down a refinery. So what all do we need to actually put down a refinery? Looks like I need some more motors, so I'm going to have to go grab some motors. Okay, so I've gone and I've added like another little floor extension up here, up near our elevator, right near our main like steel production, manufacturing and stuff. We're going to kind of have a look here and see, all right, what does a refinery do? So I've slapped down a refinery here. Now let's open this bad boy up and see what all it has to, what we need to be able to make these things. So first things first, we're on the select recipe page. Plastic. So what does plastic need to be able to make? We need 3 cubic meters of oil per minute, and it will make 2 plastic and 1 meter of heavy oil residue per minute. Plastic residue is 6 polymer resin and 2 meters per minute of water to make 2 plastic. So residual plastic, I guess you can take some of this other resin and stuff and more water to make that, okay? Rubber. Rubber requires 3 crude oil, and it produces 2 rubber plus heavy oil residue. Residual rubber is from 4 polymer resins and 4 meters of water. Okay, I'm seeing what's going on here. Petroleum Coke is made from 4 heavy oil residue to make 12 Petroleum Coke. I'm assuming this could be, it's used for crafting a carbon-rich material distilled from heavy oil residue, uses a less efficient coal replacement for aluminum refinement. Okay, so eventually down the road we'll be needing this for making aluminum. Good to know. Fuel production. We can also refine 6 cubic meters of crude oil per minute, and that is going to get us 4 meters of fuel and 3 polymer resin. And then the last one is residual fuel, is from 6 heavy oil residue, and it will end up producing 4 cubic meters of fuel. So we've got all kinds of stuff, but the things we need to be looking at right now is making plastic. And to make plastic, I need oil. Because plastic is the next thing that we need to do on our little to-do list. Okay, well, now I need to find oil. So let's look here and see, where am I going to find crude oil around here? Well, that's not a good sign. 1,000 meters that way, we can get oil. So now we've got to get that oil from there all the way back to our base. Well, I'm going to pipe it because I'm not going to transport it by truck. I think I'm going to pipe it over. So I guess now it's time to go on a walkabout to find that oil. Okay, someone had told me to turn on Arachnophobia Mode just because they wanted my reaction on that. This was terrifying, seeing these cats coming to attack you instead of spiders. I'm not entirely sure what I prefer, the spiders or the cats. Wow, that was totally frightening. Good on them for the freaking Arachnophobia Mode. Okay, we've done our hike of nearly a kilometer away, and there's actually 3 oil nodes over here. 2 of them over there are just normal nodes. This one here, though, is a pure crude oil node, so I figured I'd set up on this one first to go through the effort of getting it all piped back. And there is the... You can see our space elevator off in the distance. I mean, it's hard to say, it's hard to believe that that's like a kilometer away, but it was a bit of a journey to be able to get over this way, and all kinds of monsters and stuff that I had to fight on my way. So I'll set up a platform here and also set up a oil extractor, and then we will head out and move on to being able to get this stuff pumped back. So quick little sidestep here as we're working on our oil production and wanting to get some plastics and stuff made. Is I was running a little bit low on power again, so I came out, found another coal node, just another normal coal node here, and I have it feeding into 8 refinery or 8 coal generators here. And then I was watching a video, I think it was by Total Eclipse, on how to better utilize the water on the coal generators. And basically these 3 water extractors are actually supplying the water for all 8 of these coal generators. So basically I have one water line that's feeding in on this end. I have another water line right here that's feeding in all the way at this end. And then I have another water line that comes in and feeds into the middle, because all of these are omnidirectional pipes. So the flow it goes to the path of least resistance. So this way it does a better job of balancing out the fluid input into our generators so that they're producing their maximum power. And if we look now at our power generation, we have a nice stable 2550 for megawatts happening here. Our max consumption right now is 1710, and that's because I do have a couple of refineries up and running, and we'll head over there and go have a look and see what's happening. Okay, let's start off first. This is our oil extractor, and our oil extractor is actually capable of doing 240 cubic meters per minute because they do have a pure node that's here. And of course, we are able to pump all that out. The piping that we're using here is capable of doing 300 cubic meters per minute. And right now, as you can see, the big thing that I had some struggles with getting this to work. And it was more kind of gauge head lift on this and making sure I could get the materials out, materials all the way to the other end. And then secondly, I was running into some bug issues with some of the components, and I'll explain that as we get a little bit further along here. But the big thing that you want to remember is when you're looking at the pipes here, you see this glass sphere here. You need to make sure that it is full to the top with the fluid. If you're starting to see a line there of where the fluid level is, that means you're starting to approach the top end of your head, and that's basically resistance of gravity against the fluid in the pipe is what basically head means. And so as we're starting to climb up here, a little bit ways up this pipe, I was noticing that, of course, the fluid level was starting to drop again. So you want to make sure you put these little pumps in where the pipe is still at the top, but like the next pipe over, it starts to come down. And then that will give you, these will give you an additional 20 feet of head, meaning you can go up 20 feet of elevation with these little pumping systems in here, which on here, each one of these is 4 meters in height. So we're like 12, we're about 14. From the base here, I'd say we're probably closer to about 15 or 16. This is only capable of doing 10 meters of, or 10 feet of head elevation, or 10 meters of head elevation. And so we needed to put this pump system here to get this fluid up to the top. And that way it ensured that this pipe here stayed at a full level. And then this pipe shoots all the way down. And it's fortunate where we found our oil node here. Yeah, just heading straight north from our oil node, it actually runs directly into where our iron deposits are that we're feeding our steel manufacturing with. So let me just run off this way and you can see where that's at. So as you see here, right there is our other limestone deposit, and then we're coming into our iron deposits over here of where all of our materials are kind of gathering up for our steel manufacturing. Here's our iron deposits. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 right there. And then I expanded the width of this little track here to be able to provide a wider path here, and our piping system is just running right along the side of these conveyors heading towards our base. Okay, so now back at the base, this pipeline comes in, and just below our elevator here, I threw in another one of these little pumping stations to give this a little bit more lift. I was having some issues with the fluid getting it moving upwards, and then I did have to put another one up near the very top of it just to get that over the hurdle. The other big struggle I was having, you see where that pipe was clipping into the floor up there? I was running into an issue, and I'm going to go all the way up to the top here so you can get a better idea. I was running into an issue. I had the basically the little connector piece for being able to put this up through the floor. I got that out of the Awesome Shop, but I kept putting that in there, and I kept connecting the pipe to it. The problem is, as soon as I put the pipe into it, sometimes the fluid would pump through it, other times it would break and there would be no fluid beyond it. I would remove the floor, and then it would start pumping again, and then I'd remove the whole thing and rebuild it. I probably did it like 4 or 5 times, trying to get it to work, and it was so intermittent that I said, screw it, I'm just going to run this pipe through, and I'm going to clip it through, and I'm going to pretend that there's a pipe joint there. Hopefully they get that patched in some coming updates, because it's really buggy right now. So for now, we're just pumping the fluid straight into our refineries. And look at this. We have 2 refineries set up here. We have our crude oil going into these refineries. These this is to make plastic for us. And right now, it's putting out plastic. We're not anywhere near... Well, we're probably doing the 2 plastic... We're probably close to the 20 per minute is probably what we're getting out of this. And I would think the same on this side here. As well as we're getting 1 or total of 10 per minute of the... What is that? Heavy oil residue. And both of these are set up doing the exact same thing. I can make this bigger later on if need be. But for now, this is just to get us started with making plastic. And then that's all coming out of there and feeding into this storage container here. And as you can see, I got a fair pile of plastic already stored up here. So things have been plugging along pretty good for us. Now, with this manufacturing, we end up with this heavy oil residue. Well, you need to do something with this heavy oil residue, because if this ends up filling up in here, then the machine will shut down and it's not going to work for us anymore. So for now, I'm taking the heavy oil residue that's out of here, and I have it running back through a refinery again, and I'm just actually making petroleum coke out of this right now. I haven't done enough looking as to what the petroleum coke is really good for at this point. So for now, I decided the easiest thing to do for this is I have it coming into this container here. It's not actually storing into this container. All I need to do if I wanted to is just disconnect this conveyor here, and it will be stored. For now, I have it just getting dumped into our awesome sink. That's cranking out tickets for us. So that is just to get rid of the material. Because if we weren't getting rid of that excess waste out of there, that heavy oil residue, then this machine would quickly shut down and we wouldn't be able to produce anything anymore. Now, I easily have enough oil coming through here that we can add more refineries here, but this is giving us more flexibility right now to kind of see, okay, what do we need to build next as we start unlocking things. So just coming back from the refineries right now is as good as time as any to do a quick little pit stop at our advent calendar. Again, I'm a couple of days behind on here. As of the time of recording this, it's the 14th, but I haven't done the 13th yet, so we're grabbing the 13th, and we got some bows out of that, so I will gladly take those bows and click off. And then the 14th is the next one that we're getting. And what did we get here? This is superpositioning oscillators. A superpositioning oscillator is an oscillator circuit that is used that uses the mechanical resonance of vibrating crystals to create a string vibration with a precise frequency, often used in teleportation technology and dimensional manipulation. Okay, that sounds kind of cool. Obviously something that we have not remotely got into yet, but there is another piece of our FICSMAS calendar. We're getting close. Christmas is only 10 days away. That's just absolutely insane that Christmas is so close. So, but hey, we've unlocked a couple more things in the advent calendar. Now we need to have a look at the hub and see, okay, industrial manufacturing, what is it that I need to be able to finish getting this all unlocked? So we have motors getting made, taken care of, check. We now have plastic being made, taken care of, check. Rubber's the next thing that we need to be producing. And what do we need to be able to do that? Let's go have a look at one of these refineries real quick. And we will just slap another one of these down. Right about production refinery and give it a turn. Make sure our inputs are all facing the right way. And I want to make sure I have it lined up correctly as well too. Perfect, right there. So this one here is we need to be able to make rubber. So we need to pump some crude oil over here. Not a problem. What are we going to get out of that? We're going to get rubber and we're going to get heavy oil residue. Well, this should be pretty straightforward to do. I don't anticipate an issue with this. So what we'll do is we'll break this off here. And we're going to come with a pipeline. And we're going to go right off of this here. Actually, you know what? I think we can even bust this out and this one out completely. And we're going to go right from here. We're going to make sure this all lines up nice, which I think is right about here. And then make sure we got this. We'll turn this way a couple of times. Actually, I think what we'll do is we'll back it up. Just like so. And then we'll curl this one in like that. That's going to connect to this one. And then we're going to grab our little T connection, which is this bad boy. Give it a couple of turns and just make sure that it connects in here perfectly fine, which is right about there. And then we will connect this back up. Okay, that should be getting its fluid again. And now this one over here will be able to get fluid as well too as soon as we power it up, which is this, like so. Alright, this is now going to start manufacturing our rubber for us, but first things first is we need to get rid of the heavy oil residue out of there. So we're just going to blast away this stuff here. A little remanufacturing at this end, making sure that we're getting all of our residue out of the way. So first things first is we're going to come out here with a pipe. And then we're going to come out here with a pipe. And here with a pipe. And actually, I think I'm going to just delete that one for right now. Because then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to connect this. And we're going to bring it all the way down here. Bango. Next is we need to put our little T in here and make sure that this lines up properly, which is right about there. And of course that little pumping piece is going to move down out of the way. So now it's showing our fluids moving. We'll connect this pipe here. So now all of our residue, heavy oil residue, is getting, because this is producing 20 heavy oil residue. This here is producing 10. This here is producing 10. Guess what? This needs 40 to be able to make the Petroleum Coke. So we now have this Petroleum Coke manufacturing at 100% efficiency, which is good for us. Now the next thing is we need to store the rubber that's coming out of here. So let's just quickly slap down a storage container. We'll just flip this around right like so. And place this nice and close here. And we don't need a really fast conveyor for this because it's not like it's flying out of this machine. So we're just going to grab a Mark 1 conveyor out of here. Because this is only producing 20 rubber per minute out of here. And now we have rubber being made. So you know what that means. We have our plastic being made right here. We have our rubber being made right here. Let's quickly zip back over here. And see what else we needed. Motors. We got motors being made. So we've got motors, we've got plastic, we've got rubber, and we've already got cabling coming out the yin-yang. So we are totally good there. This is ready for unlocking. We just have to wait now for 200 rubber. hey, we have enough of everything now that we can go and get this launched off. And there we go. Rubber's loaded in, launch away, and another milestone is
The
completed.
manufacturer increases production complexity. A critical look at production line logistics and efficiency is recommended during integration. The truck allows for increased efficiency in transportation, automated or otherwise. New project parts enable progress to the next phase.
So we now have the new manufacturer, we have a larger truck, we have computers that we can make now, modular engines, which of course we need for phase 3 completion, as well as adaptive control units, which we also need for phase 3 completion. So these here are the next things that we need to be manufacturing. That's where we got to be looking, and I'm sure that's going to come with this manufacturer to be able to do that, so that we can get the next phase done. So the next thing that we'll be looking at doing is alternative fluid transport. So there's these areas here that we need to unlock. Of course, the only thing here that we're not making is heavy modular frames, so we'll have to look into what it'll take to get that up and running. And then finally, gas masks, which gives us an inventory slot. And actually, we can do everything here except for I don't have fabric manufacturing being done yet. So we'll have to look into what needs to be done for getting fabric manufacturing done. But I think that's about as good as we're going to get on this episode. So basically, what have we done? We have unlocked the space elevator so that we could get access to Tier 5 and Tier 6. And we have completed 2 milestones under Tier 5. The milestones for oil processing as well as industrial manufacturing. So we've completed 2 more milestones and we've advanced the space elevator, and I think that's probably a pretty good stop for this episode. So thank you for watching. Reach down, hit that like button on the video, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you can be notified when I have a new upload that comes available. As well as follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at TerrisDWDC, and feel free to check out the website as well, TerrisDWDC.com. With that said, you guys have a good one, and we will catch you in the next one.